Hey everybody, back with a very special video. I wanted to show everybody my Bob Gibson collection. So this is the collection that got me started collecting, I want to say about 6 years ago now. I grew up in Bob Gibson's hometown of Bellevue, Nebraska. As a matter of fact, my older brother had a friend who actually moved right across the street from Bob Gibson. So I remember as a kid being over at my brother's friend's house and seeing him working in his garage, doing some woodwork, whatever. He's a very private person, probably a very introverted person. I know some people have posted on some of my other videos, one person in particular is not a big Bob Gibson fan and claims that he's a racist and all that, but you've got to understand that Bob Gibson, he hated all his competition equally. He was the ultimate competitor, not a racist bone in his body, just one of the best competitors of all time, in my opinion, and one of the greatest pitchers that we've ever seen. He came up in an era in the 60s where there were quite a few great National League pitchers with Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, Jim Bunning, Juan Marichal, and he one of the all-time greats and my favorite player. So starting off, this collection may take up to 2 videos because it encompasses about 104 cards or 104 items. 99 of those are PSA graded, 5 are SGC. And I wanted to start off here with the card that started it all, his 59 short print. Into 7. And then my goal was ultimately to get everything at least a near mint 7 or higher, but that's not quite achievable for me. So I had that in a 6 first, and then I got his 1960 in a 7. 61 and 62. Some of his 63 leaders cards. There's a 63. 63 Fleer. His 6-3 post serial, very difficult card to get in a nice grade. Haven't seen many of those graded higher. I've only seen one other that's a 5. Someone's always selling it trying to sell it for a couple $100 on eBay. The 64. The 65 Bazooka, another difficult one. This card is much nicer looking than excellent mint 6 grade. It looks like an 8 or a 9. And looking at some of his cards from 65. That one's off center, so I was able to purchase one in a near mint 7 that wasn't off center. Sorry about the glare on that. And then the Topps embossed. This Topps transfer, is very difficult as well to get. An excellent mint 6. On to some of the 66 cards, league leaders. And these two right here, got it in a 6 and a 7. I actually think the 6 looks better than the 7. The 7 has definitely got better centering, but the corners and edges on the 6 are much sharper than the 7. On to the rub-off from 66. And on to 67. His regular and league leaders card. This is a tough card, the Atlantic Play Ball, part of that game piece from the gas station you could get. It's a Gem Mint 10 just because it's autographed. I've never seen another one of these graded, so I bought it as an autograph a couple years ago. Another really tough card, wow, this Bazooka from 68. There's a couple of these 9s, I don't think there's any 10s. A really tough one to get, the 68 Bazooka. And then continue that line, the Milton Bradley and the O-Pee-Chee variations of 68. Both of those extremely difficult as well. And then nice grades on these 68s and the 68 World Series Game 4. Love that picture of him in action there. Shows that true competitive spirit that he had. Coming down here, the other 68 All-Star. And then we're on to 69, a lot of cards in 69 that he had. The Globe imports, and then I upgraded this Nabisco TM Flakes that I used to have, and just authentic now. It's a near mint 7. Once again, not a lot of those higher, graded higher than that. Photo stamp. A nice decal, that's a mint 9. And then another difficult thing to get these 69 top stamps. Got that on a near mint 8. And this Deco Edge from 69. And he had a really stellar 68 year, so he was on several of the league leaders cards on the 69 set, so all three of those. Then there's two variations here for this checklist here. One is one's Jim Purdon and John Purdon for player 161. So I have both of those. This is one of the few cards I'm still looking to upgrade on. This is an off-center, although it really doesn't affect the eye appeal that much. Still a cool card. Wouldn't mind getting that in a 7 or 8. Maybe not getting it OC. Then the 69 Topps card and his 69 All-Star. Now I want to go down here to some very difficult cards to pick up. His 69 Topps Super, that was like a test issue, as well as that 4-in-1. Both those are test issues. You see a little bit more of the 69 Supers pop up. These 4-in-1s, I've only seen 2 ever online or for sale. Very, very difficult to get. As are these transograms. They did it for 2 years. This 69 transogram was an individual card. This one's got great eye appeal. It's just got some surface creases near the bottom. That's the reason why it's a VG3, but it looks just as good, if not better, as the Intermittent 8. Now that 70 transogram, that came off a panel of 3, also had Roberto Clemente right next to it as well. So it's safe to say it's a very tough card to pick up. And then 2 variations of the 70 Kellogg's. Really like these Kellogg's cards, these 3Ds. The one on the right in the Mid-9 is not difficult at all. The one on the left with the innings pitch blank for 59, extremely difficult. Extremely difficult. Just picked it up in a 5, fairly cheap, just because I hadn't seen one graded. And I mean, I'd been hunting that for like 5 years. There's one that's usually online on sale on eBay for a couple $100, but I'm just not going to spring that for that. And then a couple of the same here. This Major League photo stamps from 1970. The one I got with the Mid-9, the case is cracked on it. That's why I didn't get rid of the 7. Actually, the 7 and the 9, you can't even tell a difference. I mean, really, it's so subjective. And then a nice O-Pee-Chee from 70. And then a nice couple league leaders cards from 70 as well. Then his Topps. And then on to a nice Dell Team stamp. And then a couple more from 71. The Bazooka, that's a very high grade on that. Mid-9, not going to find a lot more higher than that. And then the 71's Kellogg's, as I always state, that came right from a box of cereal. Couldn't mail order that set, so it's difficult to get those in very high grade. And coming down here to this last row, got an O-Pee-Chee 71. A couple 71 league leaders. Then his actual 71. And then on to 72 Kellogg's. There's a variation, different. One's got 2,577 strikeouts. The other were 2,578. So I have both those in 9s. And then in 72, I've got the O-Pee-Chee in a 7, and then the Topps in a 8. Coming over to 73, the Kellogg's. The only year Kellogg's didn't do that 3D. Got that in at 9. And then the 73 cards, the O-Pee-Chee and the Topps, both those in near mint 7s. On to a difficult card, this Topps Candy Lids. Typically these are excellent 5s. I had one in a 5, saw this in a 6, and upgraded it. I haven't seen a whole lot of these. I haven't seen any of them graded higher than that. But tough card to get in a super high grade. Then the last year of Kellogg's for Bob Gibson was 74. And then on to this 74 Topps as well. And the last card I'm going to show in this first part of the video is this 74 Topps Stamps. Another tough one to get. And I'm going to pause the video and we're going to start over again on the next one to show the last half.